Rutger, hello. Thanks for joining me. Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks, Gordon. Yeah,
Excellent.
looking forward to chatting.
Excellent. Now, look, we work with some really cool businesses and interesting businesses at School Notices. This is amongst the coolest, I think. I think it's a really clever idea. I saw it on Dragon's Den a year or so ago. You were very successful there. It just seems a great idea. I'm not going to ruin it by trying to explain what it is. Why don't you tell us what it is and why you got into it?
Yeah, the shortest version is that we help people to turn their life story into a book. Yep. And we do that using professional writers. So we work with 650 writers, especially in the US, the UK, but we work in English across the world. And we match people very carefully with one of those writers by looking at their background, and that's their professional background, their cultural background, but also their personality. So that when they meet the writer, that they feel really comfortable with them and that it's easy for them to tell their story. And we do everything from A to Z, from doing that writer match to editing, proofreading and designing until people have a beautiful book like you can see in my background.
It's fantastic because it's such a clever idea, because actually a lot of, there are more autobiographies out there from people famous and frankly not so famous and people you don't particularly want to hear much about, but anyone can do this, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the whole idea was that I regretted I didn't record my grandparents' life stories, and my grandfather was a great storyteller, and he told me about the Second World War, where he ran a small resistance group in the Netherlands, and he told those stories with a lot of passion. But after he passed away, the details really faded, and I regretted that I didn't record them. So I wanted to make it accessible, make it a normal part of life for people to record the life stories of the people they care about. Yeah. And that's really what we do at StoryTerrace. We make it easy and enjoyable to do this.
And how do you find all your writers? So 650 writers. So they're professional, semi-professional writers. How do you find them?
They're all professional, 100% professional. Yeah. And they range from journalists to authors, and people work, often on different projects as writers to feed their creative juices, and we're a part of that mix. And we find them, basically a lot of writers apply to us, which is great. We interview every writer. We look at their interpersonal skills, their interviewing skills, besides just looking at their writing. It's incredibly important for us that customers enjoy speaking to them, that they're really good at finding the voice of the customer when they write the book. So we do proper work. We have close to 20 editorial staff in-house, and they interview all our writers before they get their first job.
Right. And so I guess you don't have an average customer. I mean, I presume you can take anybody, right?
We do, but half of our products are gifts. So we work with a lot of people that buy our service as a gift, often for their parents, for a momentous birthday or a wedding anniversary, a retirement, but also a 40th, 50th birthday from their husband or wife, to do something special to commemorate the occasion. And then we work with the other half with people that buy a book for themselves, to work with one of our writers. Sometimes they've started writing already. They didn't enjoy the process as much as they thought before they wanted to. Yeah. Or they feel like they're a bit stuck and they can't find the time for it. And we help them to either get started from scratch or to finish their book.
And is that generally members of the public, if you see what I mean, rather than celebrities who are struggling to write their own autobiography? It's just normal run-of-the-mill people like me.
Yes, indeed. The minimum number of copies that people take with us is 4, but generally it's in the 10s, and they share it with their family and their friends. And sometimes it's hundreds, especially when we work with entrepreneurs that want to share the story of the business, or with a family business. We create hundreds or up to 1,000 copies.
It's sort of the ultimate ego trip, right? If I could give my friends a copy of my life history for Christmas.
Well, actually, you do it for them. I mean, so the people we work with, they put a lot of time and effort into finding the right words to describe situations, to make it an engaging book. I mean, the writer wouldn't be able to do that alone, and they need to find the right images. So it's really a collaboration, and when you receive someone's book, and I've done obviously quite a few in my family, it's really a gift that you get when you get a copy, because you get to look inside someone's life who you think you know really well. And there's so many things you never thought about, the decisions that they made in their life, the sacrifices they made, how they view certain things, that it's really fascinating, and it really helps people to come together as well.
I can totally get that. So going back a step, what did you do before this?
I started off in management consulting, and then I went to the US, did my MBA at Columbia, and then I moved into private equity. I worked for quite a large fund based here in London called Candover. It was a €3.5 billion fund, and I sat on the board of a few companies in aerospace, oil and gas services, entertainment. So yeah, nothing really related to creating books. So I started really this business out of passion and not out of a professional background.
And what was because, you know, people who set up businesses know there's a moment when you go, okay, I'm going to have to jump now, do this properly. What was that trigger moment for you?
I've been thinking around this problem for much longer, but the ideas I had were very, very sort of small scale. They seem more like art type projects. And I guess I'm more of a business person than someone who likes to do art projects. And then I saw freelancer.com, an Australian business, do an IPO, and I realized how many writers, tens of thousands, were offering their services. People with really great degrees from the best universities, great publications, and they were all available. And I realized I could do something scalable and really help anyone to write down their story. And I was on a trip to Africa to do some traveling and volunteer work. And I had some time to think. And then I thought, this is really a good idea. And now it's time to move on and work out my notice and get going.
Well, good for you, because that's always a worrying moment. Take some guts, that. And the Dragon's Den episode, was that quite early on in the business?
Well, no, not really. It was aired last year, although it was recorded 2 years ago. I launched the business in the UK in 2015 after doing a pilot at the end of 2014 in the Netherlands. And I really built it gradually because I wanted to learn how to do everything, because my background was a very high level strategic financial. So I did sales for the first 2 years myself. I did courses around setting up marketing campaigns online, working with Bulgarian developers to build the first website, talking to writers, editors, and then slowly started hiring and building out a more professional business. Now we have close to 50 staff, and I feel actually more at ease as the business grows from that perspective. But I built it up slowly. So we were already a bit further along when we were on Dragon's Den. Yeah.
And was that as nerve-wracking as it looks?
Yes, absolutely.
Was it?
Terrifying. I didn't even want to do it. A friend of mine was on. He said, you have to do it as well. It's great for your business. I'm like, I'm not sure if I want to be on TV and do this thing. But then I saw the impact on his business. And I thought it's a great experience either way. Let's do it. So I prepared very well. I went on with a colleague, Theo, who was really great. We were very nervous up front, but we also felt very prepared. So when we went into the den, we were actually quite confident, and let's bring it on. Now's the time. We need to deliver after the prep. And it was really a really great experience.
Which dragon did you get?
Tej Lalvani.
Oh, yes, of course.
I really liked, because he comes from a family business background, is the right age group for us. So we were interested to work with him.
Brilliant. And as you say, it's tremendous exposure for your brand, for your business. A lot of people, will pick you up on that one. Okay, so more sort of nuts and bolts. If I wanted to get a book done about me, it would be a really boring book and possibly quite short. But what's the process? How does someone go about it?
Well, we would show you the shortest package. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure there's more to tell, Gordon. Yeah. But either way, you would talk to one of our team. They would explain the difference between the writers levels that we have. We have some more senior and some more junior writers you can work with. Some people have special requests around, for example, bilingual writers, because they want to be interviewed in Mandarin or in Gujarati or whatever option there is. And we can work with that, and we provide some timelines. But we have fixed packages, and they're all on our website, because I always wanted to build a very transparent business where you know exactly how many interview hours you get, how many pages come out, how many copies you get. So that's all available. And then we work off there if people want something bespoke or custom.
Yeah. And I guess matching the writer to the subject is quite tricky. I mean, you obviously know how to do that.
That's the most important thing I would say that we do, because if we do a good job, which we obviously are very much focused on because we find that so important, the process becomes more enjoyable, people tell more, and ultimately there's less editing required. So all of our editors are incredibly well trained and skilled at matching people with the right writer. So after you've chosen a package, you would be contacted by your editor, and your editor would talk to you, get to know you a little bit. They would make a judgment. Are you introvert, extrovert? Ask you very specific questions, and based on that, propose a writer to you. You can have a chat with them on the phone to make sure that you feel good about it. And then from there, the process gets started, where you also get a questionnaire, which can help you bring back some memories and what you want to talk about with your writer. And from there, it really starts flowing with the interviews.
And on average, how long does that start to finish, do you think?
People generally take around 6 months, although we can create the books in 3 months, but usually people would like a little bit more time to find photos and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
But the time commitment is much smaller on the client side. Our standard packages are between 4 and 10 hours of interviews. If we do it in person, it's 2-hour blocks, and online we generally do 1 hour because it's a bit more difficult to stay focused for 2 hours.
Yeah, brilliant. And so you must have seen some stories go across your desk. Which ones have particularly hit you, or do you are more memorable than others?
Well, there are a lot of memorable ones and a lot of crazy ones. I mean, they're I don't know what to call a normal life anymore, because it's people when they really dive deep and they think about their life, everyone has been through things and seen interesting things, especially also the older generation. But there's a gentleman that we worked with relatively early on. He was born in Czechoslovakia, and his parents had a business which made him an enemy of the state when the communists took over, by definition, which meant that it would be very hard for him to study. Somehow he did manage to get back into the favor of the party, and he was allowed to travel to Wales when the Soviets invaded. And at that point, he decided to stay in the UK, and he happened to be a good rower. So they immediately, he got into Oxford by the virtue of being a good rower and not very good at English. And that really changed, obviously, the course of his life and his family's.
That's amazing, isn't it? That's a great story. I love that. And so what's next? What's next for StoryTerrace? Are you going to, I don't know, how do you move this forward and make it different?
I mean, we're growing really well at the moment, so we're very focused on maintaining our quality, listening to our clients, adding writers to our pool. We'll also next year be adding new languages as primary languages, not as interviewing languages, but that we can write the books on, because we want to be a global service. We're also more and more selling additional services to clients, like audio books. We're going to do a pilot in virtual reality with a partner in Los Angeles. So we're always looking at new technologies to help people tell their life story and to make that exciting and in different formats for the younger generations.
Wow, virtual reality, that's an interesting one.
Yes, so it's very powerful when you can actually see and feel so close to a family member when they talk to you about their life.
Yeah, well, I think it's fascinating, Rutger, and they look magnificent. Those are all behind you, I guess. Those are the books. I mean, they look magnificent. They look the proper job.
They are, and they feel good when you have them in your hands and they're of someone that you care about.
I bet they are. Well, look, it's been fascinating to talk to you, and I think it's a genius idea. I love it, and I'm sure anyone who's reading our newsletter or magazine or flicking through our website will be equally fascinated. And they can just go to your website, I guess, StoryTerrace website, and take it from there.
Absolutely, it's very easy to book in a meeting and get going from the website, or they can email us at info@storyterrace.com if that's easier.
Brilliant. All right. Well, look, Rutger, thanks so much for your time. I know you're a busy man. Really appreciate it, and fascinating to talk to you.
Great pleasure. Thank you, Gordon.
All right. Great stuff. See you later.
See you.
Bye-bye.